Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. So Michel Pereira versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was just set for UFC 289 in June. Let me tell you guys why I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson will win by decision, but why Michel Pereira has a real significant threat of finishing Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in this fight. Michel Pereira is one of the bigger welterweights on the UFC roster at the moment. He's 6'1" with a really large frame. He has a 73-inch reach, but Wonderboy Thompson actually does have the reach advantage in this fight. He's going to have a 75-inch reach, and Michel Pereira is mainly orthodox, but why I bring up his size is this is going to be a significant issue with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. His striking really revolves around him finding the exact angles on his opponent in order to land, where Michel Pereira is so aggressive on the feet and just such an aggressive fighter in general, with him mixing up the grappling and him mixing up every single strike in the book, orthodox or southpaw. Michel Pereira really is going to throw the kitchen sink at Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, especially in the first two rounds, because Michel Pereira is a guy who looks really, really good in the first round, looks good in the second round, then really slows down in the third round. So to me, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is really going to try to stick to the outside in this fight until the third round. And then in the third round, I do think you'll see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson start to push forward more with those side kicks to the body, with those teeps to the body, and starting to back Michel Pereira up when Michel Pereira does end up gassing, because that is a common theme in these Pereira fights. You look at Wonderboy Thompson and you go, hey, Pereira's threat of the wrestling and the grappling and the jiu-jitsu shouldn't be that too big of a problem, right? He just faced Belal Muhammad and really survived in the grappling realm. He just faced Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns was never even really close to submitting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But here's why I think Pereira is even a bigger threat to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to submit him and to finish him via ground and pound than his past two grappling opponents were. In my opinion, it is really because of Pereira's frame and his striking style. Pereira is a guy who is going to constantly be level changing and feinting level changing. So when you have a very orthodox, simple, by the textbook striker like Gilbert Burns, like Belal Muhammad, you know exactly when they're setting up their grappling. You know exactly when they're setting up other strikes. So with Gilbert Burns, for example, when he's going for a takedown, you sprawl and you get into grappling defense mode. Same with Belal Muhammad. With Michel Pereira, he mixes it up so much to the point where you can't immediately sprawl, duck down, and brace for a takedown, because he's going to hit you with something like a flying knee, a front kick to the face. So Michel Pereira, he mixes in those level changes into those big winging hooks as well. He's super, super dangerous all around. So Stephen Wonderboy Thompson can't just go into defensive grappling mode right away against Pereira. Pereira is a guy who has dumped and subbed an extremely prolific grappler like Zalim Amadidov. So to me, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, this threat of the wrestling and the threat of the takedown in the jiu-jitsu and the ground and pound is going to be constant, to a point where I do think Pereira is going to be able to catch Wonderboy Thompson early in this fight. We saw that in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's last fight against Kevin Holland. I mean, he really damaged him, and that is the other point I do want to bring up with Wonderboy Thompson and why I'm a little bit nervous for him in this fight. He took a significant amount of damage in his last fight. His face got busted up pretty well. His foot looked like a balloon. His hand was easily broken. So he's coming into this fight only a few months later against Pereira, who is very healthy with a huge frame. He's a guy who Wonderboy Thompson could kick in the face 5 times. Is it going to hurt Pereira? Obviously, it's going to significantly damage Pereira, but damn, it's going to hurt Stephen Wonderboy Thompson too. This is a fight where I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson probably breaks his hand again, probably breaks his foot again, and probably gets injured to the body and to the face. So it's going to be a real question of how Stephen Wonderboy Thompson responds in the third round. Why I do think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is going to end up winning this fight 29-28 on the scorecards for a 2-1 decision is just because of his striking. He mixes it up so well, and Pereira against strikers looks good but he really has never faced a striker like a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, talk about chaining together striking techniques. He's so good at getting to southpaw, really being heavy with that right hand jab, and then switching over to a switch kick body with the left foot, and then he switches right back into orthodox. He's going to have that karate style of blitzing with that jab straight, and he's really going to mix in the body strikes as well. Pereira is a guy who is going to be significantly affected by these body strikes, and to me, that is going to be what wins Stephen Wonderboy Thompson this fight, is really the side kicks to the body, the hooks to the body when he's blitzing in and out of range, and really the pacing of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is so difficult to the point where I think Pereira is going to try to have to hold him down to try to conserve some energy going into the third round for Pereira, because again, like I just said, that is a significant theme and issue with Pereira's fights, is that third round cardio. So I'm very excited for this fight. Again, if Pereira can really mix in the grappling in the first 2 rounds, I do think he could catch Stephen Wonderboy Thompson with a feint level change overhand right, a feint level change into a knee. I know Stephen Wonderboy Thompson breaks down his film like no other fighter, so he's really going to be anticipating that flying knee that Pereira loves throwing, but I really can't wait until this fight happens. It's a striker's dream, and it's going to be an absolute banger. Let me know who you guys think is going to win this fight at UFC 289 in June.